Yes, hello and welcome. It's quite funny watching a countdown and then panicking when it hits zero. So this is Fans Only. I'm Ray Bradshaw. This is our YouTube show where we chat to fans only. It's a simple name. Not only fans, as BBC Scotland Telly said last week. I mean, we'd love that if we can get the money. The idea is this show is football fans only. No pundits, no ex-players, no managers. We want to hear real opinions. We want to hear real voices. So last week we had some tech problems. There were some fans coming in. We're teething it out. Hopefully this week we can go flying. We've got a great show lined up. I'm joined today by the wonderful comedian Liam Farrelly, who's sitting right next to me. Liam, how are you?
Aye, not bad, man. How's yourself?
I'm okay. You were at Hampden yesterday. How was it?
I mean, it was.
Oh, sorry, we should say St Mirren fan.
Aye, St Mirren fan. Aye, it was a fun 45 minutes, I thought, and then
what bit?
The last 45 I thought was great.
Of the real time
of the normal game. Aye.
How was that 6-minute period when you got sort of pumped? How was that?
It was, in a weird way, it was quite cathartic. Where I was like, well, if it's gonna go wrong, it should go massively wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, there you go.
What do you make a 17-year-old goalie?
I thought he'd done pretty well.
Was it how we pronounce it? Tam Savicius?
Tamo Savicius.
Tamo Savicius. So Tam Savicius. How?
I thought he done well. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation to have to bring him on to, but I thought he'd done pretty well. And then in extra time, we had to go so attacking to get back into that game. So then it was so open when it came to actually the start of extra time. And that's where it kind of all went wrong. I thought if we had an extra centre back on the bench that we could have brought on at the start of extra time, I think there would have been enough cover there to actually see him through and probably get to penalties.
I saw Craig McLeish said something similar after the game. He was like, we had to go for it to try and get there. And when, because obviously the third goal he maybe should get, Michael Mandron, do you think he's a late charger for the Scotland World Cup squad?
Big Mika Mandron. I think he can get there. I would love to see it. It's one of these ones where he's always came up well under pressure, and he's really good at linking up with the midfield and taking the ball in and getting the team up the park.
Which is what Scotland is a striker. That's what we play with,
So I'd love to see it, but obviously
it's not going to happen though, is it?
No, it's one of those ones where it's going to be the usual suspects with Dykes and Adams and all that.
Yeah, George Hurst I saw yesterday played 7-8 minutes. Tommy Conway scored in that game for Middlesbrough. When you look at it overall yesterday, you lose Shamal George before the game.
Aye.
You lose your second goalie, 20 minutes into the game?
It was 15.
15. And what are you thinking at that point? Because obviously, Mullins made the mistake you say made the mistake. Maeda is onto him so quickly.
See, when I watched it back, though, I was like, he's actually passed him when he kicks the ball. See, if you look at it, I'm like, if you just change direction, there's a pass on for Freckleton. So I think it's just sheer panic that's happened. Yeah. And he's just went to leather it. And I think that's when he's got the injury. And then obviously for there, it's chaos. Because at that point, I only knew of Thomas Savicius through the youth team. So I think that was his first professional game.
It was.
Yeah, because he's played for the B team in the Challenge Cup, which I don't think you can count. But I was like, because I thought he was 18, and then a guy behind me was like, no, he's 17. So
what were you? I'm scared to ask you this. As a 17-year-old from Paisley, what were you doing at that age?
I just started stand up at that age. I just
I remember
and going in.
I remember hating you.
Because
everyone was like, "Oh, there's this guy. He's the new Kid Bridges and all this kind of stuff." And then Farrelly turned up, and he was actually good. Because it's so good. There's been so many people that go, "Oh, he's 17, he's going to be really good," and then they die on stage. It's so much fun to watch.
They said to me, Liam, if you keep on working hard, you can get on the BBC OnlyFans podcast. That's what I dreamed of.
So what we're looking for is we're looking for people to take part. We're going to be chatting to a range of fans whose clubs were maybe in the semi-finals recently, teams that could win the league this week, teams that are worried about relegation. We want you to get in touch. You can email us, take part. This is fansonly@bbc.co.uk. You can comment on YouTube below. All the comments will get sent to us. We want interaction, and we want this to be genuinely fans' point of view. I spoke about this last week. The amount of times a manager gets sacked and then is back on media 2 weeks later talking about how good they are at some stuff. And you're like, oh, that's not good. So please get in touch. Do that. Scottish football. Let's get into it. So the question we were asking for the stream at the start is, Liam, I'm going to get you to check your phone just now, see if anyone put in this as your unsung hero of your club. All our guests today we'll be asking them who the unsung hero is at their club for this season. This is after the Player of the Year, or sorry, not the Player of the Year, the Team of the Year came out, and there was 5 Motherwell players, 4 Hearts players, 1 Rangers, 1 Celtic. And so we've got James, our producer there. He's a Hearts fan. You've changed who you think your unsung hero is,
because
because
we were talking on WhatsApp over the weekend.
you've never sounded like an older man in your life, by the way.
I know.
We were talking on www.
No, when we came up with this idea, and I was thought, who is Hearts unsung hero? My initial thought was Ocean McEntee, who has played every position Dell's wanted him to play. He's done it very well, consistently a 7 or an 8. But then this morning I thought, no, because everybody, even Hearts fans, talk about how good he's been. But then I've changed Blair Spittle. Who
really?
But he's hardly kicked the ball.
Yeah.
But when he has been, he's been there, he's trained, he's always been on the bench. Whenever Hearts have needed him, he's been there and he's done well.
Okay.
And actually, if we go on to have the season we all hope we're going to have, it's a lot of it will be to players that have just basically not spat the dummy out. Like loads of players could, because it's such a big squad, could have spat the dummy out and got really annoyed. Alan Forrest's another one, who have, when called upon, have come in, been on the bench, have started games, and have done really, really well.
Yeah, I didn't expect that one. Okay, so we've got that. Liam, I'm going to get you to keep yours because we will be joined by a St Mirren fan soon. Any messages coming in? Anyone picked any?
We've got Mark McKinnon. He's a Motherwell fan, and he's saying his unsung hero is Ibrahim Said.
Okay.
Which I think is a bold shout.
is that your whole contribution to that? Yeah.
Aye, I think he's a bit of a maniac for what I know about this guy. So I wouldn't go with him. But I mean, if you want to sing a song about maniacs, I would go with Ibrahim Said.
That's like, get in touch. And also, if you want to join us in future weeks, the idea is we're going to be running this to the end of the season. We want fans from all club. I gave a shout out last week. If you're an Inverness Cali fan, Stenhousemuir, Edinburgh City, if you're a Linlithgow Rose, Clydebank fan, I want to talk all about that. It's a shambolic mess. I think we can all agree. The fact that Clydebank don't even get to step in. Get in touch. Email us. This is fansonly@bbc.co.uk, and we can get you on next week. So let's kick off the game yesterday. Celtic against St Mirren. It finished 6-2. Which at one point, genuinely, I thought was a typo because I put my phone in charge at 2-2 and I picked it back up again and it was 6-2. And I was like, how has this happened? I was getting enthralled in the Merseyside derby because I don't have Premier Sports on my phone, so I couldn't do that. So let's get 2 guests on. So first up, joining us, we've got a Celtic fan, Patrick McGilp, and we're also going to be joined from the Misery Hunters St Mirren podcast, Sam Smith. So Sam and Patrick, right, let's get into this, okay? First of all, Patrick, smug to be in another Scottish Cup final, or you finished sweating from the game yesterday? How was it?
Well, I mean, quite nerve-wracking going into a game against St Mirren at Hampden. Obviously not great memories from earlier this season. And, played them at Celtic Park a week ago and it wasn't an easy game. But, 7 minutes really changed the game. I heard at the top of the show that you enjoyed the sort of second 45 minutes of the 90. I did not, but I did enjoy the first sort of 10, 12 minutes of extra time. I don't think any Celtic fan expected that walking into the ground, seeing another 6-2 victory under Mark Manill. Not as memorable as the August 2000 6-2 victory maybe, but I can now say that I've seen it. But I mean, delighted to be in the final, and obviously
reference by the way, is such a niche reference, Patrick. I like it. Talk to us about. All the plaudits after the game. I saw Tom English on the BBC website had written an article about James Forrest. Talk to us about Forrest, Ian Atchell, and even the guys like before we went on air. I can't remember his name and the pronunciation. Who you signed on loan? Who was meant to be signed, but then he had a heart issue. Who's barely featured. Like, what is happening with this squad? Because it blows so hot and cold, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Mvuka couldn't even tell where we signed him from. I think he won a competition to become a footballer, from what I've seen. It's a pretty damning indictment of the way Celtic are run that he was one of the loan signings that we wanted to sign permanently on a 4.5-year deal, and he can't even get on the bench. But James Forrest and Ian Atchell, obviously they linked up perfectly for the third goal. Ian Atchell ends up getting 2. He's been coming off the bench sort of late on in games and getting goals, and you can tell, what he maybe lacks in fitness, he definitely makes up for in talent and footballing ability. You can tell he's a proper number 9. He's just struggled with fitness this season. So I think they deserve a lot of the plaudits. Ian Atchell might end up being the unsung hero, easy for me to say. But I mean, if he scores a goal a game for the rest of the season, I think we'll be singing about him.
Yeah, we're going to bring in Sam, our St Mirren fan, in just a second. Before we do that, Patrick, how old are you? What age are you?
25. So I don't even remember the first 6-2 game.
Yeah, but you've never lived a life without James Forrest.
I haven't. No, I was 9 when he scored first for Celtic, so I can't imagine a Celtic without James Forrest.
That is insane. Sam, welcome to This Is Fans Only. So I like, I mean this in the politest way. The way you've got your camera set up, it looks like you're about to do a food review on TikTok of your local takeaway. That is the vibe it's got.
Sam often eats his dinner during the podcast.
Oh, does he?
Record it. Aye. So.
Thanks for that, Liam. Cheers, mate.
So, Sam, you've got Patrick. Feel free to chat to Patrick as we go. We had Liam at the top of the show tell us how he felt about yesterday. How was it for you?
It's kind of, in the heat of the moment, it was kind of really hard to process. It was the most mental 10 minutes I think I've ever had in a football ground. And I think just for going like the euphoric high of like Big Mika's equaliser, and you kind of think like, right, we've really got them on the ropes here. I think extra time came at the perfect time for Celtic. It allowed them to reset. They get a lot of impact off their substitutes. I think, as Patrick mentioned, I thought Iheanacho, he's kind of the one guy in Celtic's team that I really worry about. I think he's got like enough quality to kill you despite not really being particularly fit. And I mean, at the time I was absolutely devastated, but I think looking back on it, like with all the adversity we faced, like even looking at the starting 11, we've got players playing all over the place in positions that they've never actually played before as well. So kind of proud of them, and I'm really optimistic now looking into the kind of last 5 games of the season, but it certainly wasn't how I felt immediately after the game. So
Liam, let me, because you know Sam well, are you worried about your goalkeeping situation? I saw Craig McLeish say we might need to dip into the emergency loan.
Well, Sam's actually a goalkeeper, so we could always call up the big man for a couple of games.
How do you think you would have fared yesterday, Sam?
I am currently just back playing a month after a fairly severe ankle injury, so I'm unable to kick the ball at the moment still. So
yeah, I mean that doesn't stop.
Mullen, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Imagine Dysamider chasing you down.
I'd have the ball at the side of the pitch before he could even get near me.
Patrick, when you looked at that St Mirren side yesterday, how do you think they played? Because obviously 2 weeks in a row you've played them. Any compliments or any players in particular that you noticed that you'd like to give Sam credit for?
I mean, every time we come up against them, Gogic is always a standout for me. Just such a difficult player to play against. And then obviously the big man up top that scores the equaliser. Basically, as soon as the injury time board went up at the side of the park, and just the heads went down in the stands, and then 10 minutes later you're sort of celebrating a 5th and 6th goal. But I thought the young boy that came on done well. 17. I didn't realise at the time just how young he was, and he does well in the 90 minutes. And then, I think it is probably a harsh goal line based on how the game went, 6-2, because I think before the League Cup final, we'd scored something like 3 or 4 goals after the 90th minute, and we'd actually taken 7 points out of 9 against St Mirren, even though they were really turgid, tough games. They beat us in the final back in December. So, I mean, St Mirren's always a really, really tough game for us, and a bit of a bogey team the last season or two. So, always a really impressive sort of well set up side. And I feared the worst after 90 minutes, and after about 96, we were sort of in dreamland, luckily.
I've decided I don't like it when they compliment each other. So, Sam, can you rip into how this is potentially the worst Celtic squad you've ever seen?
I think that's what sticks in it, and I think Liam, when we were on the podcast last week, I slaughtered Anthony Ralston before it and said he's one of the worst football. Said he's one of the worst Celtic players I've ever seen, and that stung a wee bit watching that one kind of somehow end up in the top corner. Not really convinced he meant it either, which probably makes it that wee bit worse. But I think to me it shows what Celtic are capable of when they can actually be bothered, and I think if you're a Celtic fan, I think watching that you would maybe feel a wee bit cheated as to what the team is definitely capable of, and they've not shown it for enough. I mean, for 45 minutes yesterday, like the second half, St Mirren were tremendous. Like, really had Celtic on the ropes, and I think had Mandron scored the equaliser maybe 5-10 minutes previous, I think we would have went on to win the game. We made McLeish deserves a lot of credit for for the attacking changes he made. I thought bringing on Adobu and McMenamin was quite bold. It did leave us very light in terms of at the back, because we obviously had to take off Liam Donnelly. We don't have Richard King, who can then come on and fill in defence, and we could have plugged a couple of gaps that way. And as it went on, it got harder. Celtic are still, regardless of how bad they've been this season in the league, and they might win a double, they might not win anything, but it shows you what they're capable of. They can flick a switch and do it, and it's so frustrating. I feel like I've seen that happen so many times over the years for Celtic, particularly the last 3 or 4 when Robinson's been in charge. I feel like St Mirren have been in games up until you've been drawn 1 each year, maybe only getting beat 1-0. I remember, I think it was when Ange was the manager, I went down to watch Matilda in London, and I got signal with, I think it was 15 minutes to go, and I seen that it was 1-0 to Celtic. And I came back out later on at night and I seen it would been beat 5-1 in a game that had 15 minutes left in it. And you're like, how does that happen? But it's the quality of players they've got. It's hard to deal with if they're at the top of their game. Then we can't really afford to have any passengers. And I think we began to look really, really tired later on, and Celtic just exploited that. But it's when the 6th goal goes in, I turned around to like my pals and I was like, what is the record defeat at Hampden in a semi-final? because it looked as if it was only going one way, and I was terrified at that point.
It's so true. Like, I've played a lot of amateur games and stuff like that. When you concede after the first minute, you're like, we're going to lose 17-0 today. That's what's going to happen. Liam, because obviously Patrick's a contributor to a Celtic State of Mind, a very well put together fan podcast. You and Sam have got a podcast. How did this come about?
Basically, so Sam had been on the Misery Hunters podcast for a while, and I jumped on to try and punt my Glasgow Festival show. And then they just let me stick around for a while. So that's what I've been doing.
If you ever get a chance, if you ever see Liam Farrelly, we probably don't have time for it today. Ask Liam about the time he got invited to do a gig for the St Mirren team at their training ground.
Oh my God.
Essentially, they all hated him. And who was the guy that took pity on you?
Elvis Pomono, who's now at Aberdeen. I just talked to him in a corridor while he stared at me for a while.
Let's look forward to the season, Patrick. There's 5 games in the split. You got a cup final that you've got to, by the way, by only beating Auchinleck Talbot in 90 minutes. An insane statistic. Where do you see the rest of the season going? If I had to ask you right now, just put your neck in the line, what position are you finishing in the league?
Oh, first place. Obviously. I'm a bit of an opportunist. As we've sort of already covered, I've only known a Celtic with James Forrest in it, so it's kind of not been a couple of years since I got my season ticket. I am a bit of an optimist. I think a lot of Celtic fans don't share my view, but I think the way that the split fixtures have been laid out, we've obviously got the home game against Falkirk coming up first. We've got the 2 big games at home, Rangers and Hearts. I genuinely think with Martin O'Neill in charge, we will go over the line. And then, it's quite the matchup against Neil Lennon's Dunfermline. Obviously, another. You mentioned Auchinleck Talbot there, a championship side in Dunfermline. I think we've got to be massive favourites going into that, and it'll be interesting to see how Neil Lennon shapes up against Celtic. I think it's the first time he's faced Celtic since he left in 2021. So I can see us winning a double. I think we'll definitely win the cup. The league is a bit more sort of tense. We need to be near perfect, but I fancy us to do the double, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Sam, for you, we'll go down to the bottom end of the table, neck in the line. What position are you going to finish in?
10th. I'm fairly confident, to be honest. I think I was going to say 9th there, but I think that'll get clipped and come back on me. And I don't need that. I don't need that. I definitely don't need the stress for that. But I've seen enough over the last 5 games now. McLeish's been in. He's had 2 games against Celtic, 1 against Rangers. So you can obviously kind of caveat that. And in between that, we've had wins away at Falkirk, a really good, strong win against Aberdeen. We've actually not played any of the sides at the bottom yet, like Kilmarnock and Livingston and others. So I feel a lot more confident in the way we'll approach these games and having a bit more of the ball, being a bit more creative. I think a big thing for me yesterday is that we had only really scored for, I think it was 4 out of the 5 goals we'd scored under McLeish were for set pieces. So it was kind of refreshing to see us score twice for open play yesterday as well, and kind of add another string to our bow under the new manager. But I'm feeling really confident. I think the way that the fixtures have fell in the first weekend in particular for me kind of give me a bit of sense of optimism. I think Kilmarnock are away at Aberdeen and we're at home to Livingston. So you're kind of hoping that Aberdeen do look as if they might have got their act together. The last time they played, they did look a lot better from what I've seen from that game. We're at home to Livingston, who, as much as they've kind of huffed and puffed, they are going to go down. I think they kind of looked a wee bit despondent in the last couple of games I've seen them play. I think even Marvin Bartley, after the game they drew, I think was it when they got beat off of Kilmarnock. I think listening to his interview after the game, he was a bit like downbeat, kind of knew what was coming, as if it wasn't obvious already. But it'll be interesting to see what Livingston side turn up on Saturday. But I think I'm far more confident with McLeish in charge than I probably would have been with Robinson, because I absolutely loved it. Robinson is my favourite figure at St Mirren of all time. But it's a bit mental to say that, but it did look as if we were only going one way in the end.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You agree with that, Liam?
Well, we always struggled against the kind of bottom six teams with Robinson because our whole style was just basically being difficult to beat and hitting on the counter. But then when you're coming up against another team who's doing the exact same thing, you basically kind of roll each other out for 90 minutes. Whereas McLeish, it's a lot more passing the ball. It's a lot more kind of getting into different spaces and like creating better opportunities. I think the turnaround with McLeish has been crazy for how little time it's taken.
And considering none of us had heard of him until about 3 weeks ago as well. Sam, Patrick, thank you very much for joining us, and this is Fans Only. And I mean this when I say it for both of you. I hope both your clubs get relegated next season. Liam, any messages coming in? Have we got any member in the comments? You can comment down below. And also, this is something the young people say, but it would really help us out if you like and subscribe to the page. In the long term, we can get people on. We've had some niceties between Sam and Patrick there. We're about to get 2 fan groups on that hate each other, which I'm quite looking forward to. Liam, we got anything coming in?
Yeah, we've got Grant Smith, who's a Dundee fan. For his unsung hero, he is suggesting Dre Wright, who is consistent and flies under the radar, which I'd agree with. I think Dre Wright's a fantastic player. He's moved from kind of more of a winger when he was with Hibs. He's moved back to more of a fullback, and he's been playing on the other side. I remember when he was with St Johnstone, I think he filled in at centre half at one point.
I feel like he's got a loan move to St Mirren in him, don't you?
Well, there was a time where he was going to be used as part of a swap deal.
Was it? There you go, right, okay.
I can't remember who it was for, but I remember he was going to come and then it all collapsed.
Great. Right, let's get on to Saturday's game. We're going to be joined by 2 people in a sec. I would say one of the worst games I've watched in a while. Not hugely enjoyable. I was really hungry and I was waiting to go out for lunch until the game had finished, and it would not finish. So we've got 2 sets of fans in, and we've got a Falkirk and the Dunfermline fan. Falkirk fan Josh Heggie, who's joining us, I believe, from Florida. And we've got Ricky Lord, the Dunfermline fan, who I believe is joining us from a Glaswegian car park. So this is what you want. We've got a bit of culture. First of all, let's go to you, Josh. Are you on holiday? Do you live in Florida? What's the deal?
No, I'm on holiday. Holiday's been booked 18 months ago, and of course had to miss a semi-final. So absolutely gutted not to be at the game, but in a way, also kind of glad I wasn't at the game.
Yeah, there's a beautiful image of you like going up and talking to Mickey and Minnie, absolutely pissed at Disneyland, telling them about the legacy of the game. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I got up early and brought my laptop, so had it whole family downstairs in the hotel watching it, and just absolutely fizzing for the rest of the day.
That's also right. We need to bring Ricky in. Ricky, I've known you a while, Ricky. I've never seen you look happier than the idea of Josh really sad and going to Disneyland.
I like the earlier he had to get out of bed, the better. Josh,
Ricky, I want to ask you this. Obviously, the game wasn't great. That 120th minute, Cartwright goes down in the box. Are you fearing the worst? Because when I was watching it in telly, I thought it was a penalty. How was it in the ground?
No, I think Beaton blew for it and got his card out so quickly that he didn't have that opportunity to think he's given a penalty here. And I had a really good view of it. And when it went down, I couldn't tell. You know what Hampden's like. I couldn't tell if it was a penalty or not. But the fact that Beaton blew so quickly and didn't point to the spot just killed any doubt you had. So that was probably the one decision that I wasn't raging with all afternoon from the ref. But
Liam was saying earlier he thought John Beaton had an excellent game.
I thought he done really well. I thought he let the game flow did well. Like he let both teams be really physical. You know, so I was impressed by him. I really like your back three for Dunfermline as well. I was really impressed by all of them, especially the one in the middle. Was it Noradine or something like that?
Noradine, who is signed kind of from Ghana, a bit of an unknown, and our owners have got like a data AI model, and they're signing sort of, you get these random outlier players that you've never heard of, and he's one of them, and he is a bit raw, but he's just a total athlete, like really strong.
It
was good.
Josh, let's ask you. Neil Lennon's down on his hands and knees crying after the game. Are you doing the same at the buffet? Is that exactly the same kind of feeling you had?
It was more anger and disappointment, to be honest, because the quality Falkirk have shown this season, they have enough in the team to get a result against a Dunfermline team. I think they almost got booked by the occasion. The fact it being against Dunfermline, better rivals as well. That first 15 minutes was just so scrappy. I think within the first 15 minutes, Dunfermline had maybe 2 or 3 really strong challenges in, and that just was like brought the Falkirk team back down to earth over in a game here. And Neil Lennon didn't let Falkirk play their possession game. That front 3 pressed Falkirk really high. It just made it a really awkward game.
What can I ask you, right? Because I was watching it, and I know Brian Graham very well. I've interviewed him a few times. I did a lot of things with him at Thistle. Why is he not taking a penalty? Is he saving himself for the 5th penalty? Is that the chat? What was it?
Well, he was brought on, I'm assuming, for the 5th penalty, because against Hearts, I think he maybe took the 2nd or 3rd. But in my opinion, you have your best penalty takers first to last, so that your best penalty takers take the penalty. But I understand Brad taking the first, and Henderson scored a good one against Hearts. So, they've fully practiced it in training. So, yeah.
Ricky, I don't know, Josh, if you can see it. Ricky, I don't know if you've got your teeth whitened especially for this, but the smile that came through when I asked about Brian being kept for the 5th penalty, mental, isn't it?
I mean, Brian Graham, I think every team's probably got a player that they always say, he always scores against us. And Brian Graham is one of them for us, where I don't know if the stats even back it up, but it's just in your head. So when he gets subbed on, that was the chat. Here comes Graham to either score or knock in the winning penalty. But it didn't matter because it didn't get to the 5th penalty, because Falkirk absolutely melted their first 2 and we just cruised to a 4-2 victory. It was class.
Talk to me about the Todds. Andy Todd. Neil Lennon, was he doing mind games saying that players were doubts? And then Andy Todd in particular, the 120th minute, he looked like he was struggling.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
what a prospect he is.
We played Ayr United at Somerset a couple of weeks ago, and Todd did go off in a challenge, and he was limping heavily. So I don't believe it was mind games to the extent where he made he faked a tackle going in at Somerset 2 weeks previous. So I think he probably was maybe touch and go, but then you see him play 120 minutes and you're thinking, right, that was a bit of folded chest. But I was saying to my dad, we've seen McGlynn bottle it against Dunfermline so many times. I think he's a bit of an overthinker, and even if it wasn't mind games from Lennon, even if Todd was out, he was pushing it that much, I think, probably just to get in McGlynn's head that even if Todd was playing, I wasn't playing. And I reckon he got the reaction he wanted, because as it sort of played out, when we found out that Todd was playing and starting, it gave us a bit of a lift in the stands, and obviously that transferred onto the pitch as well.
Yeah, it's nice seeing a guy in goggles, isn't it, Liam?
I know, you don't get to see that. Edgar David's the only other one I can actually think of.
So in my amateur team, Robbie, Robbie from amateur team wears goggles, and then another player in another team was wearing goggles, and Robbie straight away was like, I hate that guy, and kept on trying to smash him in the tackles. It was like his nemesis. I don't understand it. Josh, what do you make of Ricky's comments there that John McGlynn's a bottler? I mean, John McGlynn, a serious contender for Manager of the Year. Probably, I presume it'll be Derek McInnes, but he's right up there. We chatted to a Falkirk fan last week in the show, how he's turned them around. Do you think he is a bottler?
No, not at all. John McGlynn has turned this club on its head. We were in, a terrible place, and he's brought a system which the fans love to watch. Okay, it didn't quite work on Saturday, but over the course of the season, it's been a good system. He's got a real good eye for a player. You look at the 4 years he's been here, you look at maybe like 2 or 3 signings that haven't worked out. All the others have been like really good, consistent players. Was it like 7 consistent starters have been from League One all the way through? So you can't really complain about his eye for a player. There's been a few times in big games where he's maybe not. You think performances to the players. You think that playoff against Airdrie when we lost heavily, but I don't think that on Saturday was McGlynn. I think he picked a team that 90% of Falkirk fans wanted. They made a big risk bringing Connor Allen back in, and I thought he played really well. So I think he got his team right. It was just an off day, and tip their hats to Dunfermline. It's great for me to say that they deserved it on the day.
What's I've got two questions for you, Josh. One, what are the rest of the family doing right now while you're doing this call in Florida? Are they out enjoying themselves while you're getting sad? Like, what's happening?
No, we fly home tonight, so it's just a case of waiting on the Uber for the airport.
Yeah, okay.
So,
And secondly, would you like to wish Dunfermline luck in the final?
absolutely not.
Very valid. Ricky, would you like to give a nice commiseration message to Josh, our Falkirk fan, whose holiday has been ruined by Falkirk losing the semi-final to their bitter rivals?
Josh, get up, you. No, fair play for coming on. It wouldn't be me coming on after that, so fair play.
Nice. And final question for both of you. Josh, we'll go to you first. Your unsung hero. Who's the player at your squad this season who's gone under the radar a bit, as you think's been unsung?
I'd say probably Philip Lister. Player came in on loan from Swansea City. It took him a real while to get into the squad just because we had that settled defence. But he's played left back, he's played right back, he's played centre half, which is his natural position, and he's just an absolute quality player. He will go, to a really high league within the next 2 years. He's ready for a big step up, and I know there's been rumours of potentially like Hearts looking at him or Celtic looking at him, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move for him, but I think he's better than that, to be honest.
Yeah, he's looked quality ever since a Falkirk fan pointed out to me how good he was, so you start looking out for him as well. Ricky, for you, what was it? Three Dunfermline players in the team of the season. Any unsung heroes for you?
So in terms of unsung heroes, I'm maybe going to go a bit left field, but Chris Hamilton for me, because at the start of the season, he knew he wasn't going to play a lot of football. He signed a year extension on his contract, and he's just one of those players that he's on the bench, and when he's needed, he's always ready, comes on, does a job, never puts a foot wrong. I thought that he came on at half-time and extra time on Saturday, and I thought he had an amazing 15 minutes. Like, he was my man of the match for extra time. He just came on brilliantly, stepped up, took a penalty. I think everyone in the stadium, bar Scott Bain, knew he was just going to smash it right down the middle. And in terms of unsung hero, I think just, as a vice captain as well, local lad, he's just what you want at your club.
Yeah, I love that. Josh, I hope your flight home goes smoothly. I hope you don't have Ricky's voice rattling around your head for that 8-hour flight. Ricky,
that flight will be shorter than the 120 minutes.
yeah, that's fair. Ricky, I hope you don't stop smiling. Boys, enjoy. And Ricky, do us a favour, beat St Johnstone tomorrow night so we can prolong Thistle maybe not winning the league.
We'll take a point. Cheers,
all right, that doesn't help us. Josh, Ricky, thank you very much for joining us, and this is Fans Only. That was good. That's the kind of beef we want.
I liked having a guy in the car, man. That was fun. It looked like he was going to hit out a conspiracy theory or something. They're putting 5G in the pigeons, man.
He's so happy he doesn't really care that much.
That penalty, that reminded me, you were in the Brian Graham role when we had a penalty shootout against the homeless.
No. Give context to that, by the way. We played a charity football match against the Simon Community street soccer stuff. I became the de facto captain of the team.
Yeah.
I didn't take the fifth penalty. I gave my penalty away to Gareth Much, who was so confident he would score. He didn't even stop running up. He just jogged, hit it, missed, and jogged all the way back. His shot was so bad, it barely reached the goal line. And then when the goalie saved it, he went, "Oh, great save, keeps," and walked away. So no, you missed yours, didn't you?
I tried to chip him, but my daughter was watching. I was like, "You've got to go style here."
Yeah, I was meant to take the first one. I wasn't gonna.
I thought we moved you to the fifth one.
No, I'd give. Yeah, because I was like, Much he was so confident he would score. So we've had all 4 teams who played in the Scottish Cup final. We've had fans from joining us. Remember, you can leave in the comments if you're interested in joining us. You can email us as well at thisisfansonly@bbc.co.uk. I can't believe we've got a BBC email. I thought they would have given us a Gmail or a Hotmail, because we've been putting a wee side bit, so I didn't know we were going to be that official. Liam, have we got any text, comments, anything coming in on the chat?
We got one from Ryan Harding, who is an Aberdeen fan.
Okay.
He says he needs a win on Saturday, and his unsung hero is Matt Knoxtels, who is a player I forgot existed. So, there you go. That's good.
I definitely don't think that's how you pronounce it, but thank you for trying. Right, let's go to another game we had on Saturday. Scotland women's team away in Belgium World Cup qualification, 0-0. That followed, was it Tuesday or Wednesday, one each with Belgium. Kathleen McGovern scoring in the last minute. We were talking before we started. Let's get her in. Joining us on the Sideline podcast, we've got Megan Thomas. Megan, it's all a bit odd the way they've played these games. So we beat Luxembourg 5-0, 7-0. We've drawn twice with Belgium, who were the top seeds, we're the second seeds. We now go play Israel twice, whereas Belgium go play Luxembourg twice. They know how many goals they need to score pretty much because we've got a better goal difference now, so we're top. It's all a bit weird, isn't it, Megan?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I don't think these competitions are ever particularly straightforward, but yeah, we're in a position where it is essentially going to come down to goal difference if we do beat Israel, which I've got every confidence that we will do.
What did you make of the two games? Because I watched was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember. I watched it whichever night I was in the house, and Kathleen McGovern scored last minute. Her international goal scoring record is incredible. We interviewed Joelle Murray recently as our manager at Hibs, who was properly downplaying her because she was like, "No, I want her to stay at Hibs." Like the more we talk about it, the more we do. You also had Melissa Andreatta's comments of 500% we will qualify. Over the two games, what did you make of those two Scotland performances?
I thought we were outstanding, and I thought we were really dominant. And you could maybe argue that the scorelines don't reflect that kind of summary, but I think when we got this draw, every Scotland fan would have probably been a bit worried about Belgium. Obviously, they're ranked higher than us, but Melissa Andreatta has just, you hear the confidence from the 500% comments. She's got this team playing in such an attacking way that we're not really used to seeing. And for them to stand up against Belgium and have as many chances as they did and fight through each game, to score a last-minute equaliser. They had plenty of chances in the second half in the away leg. It was really, really positive. And as much as I was disappointed not to take 3 points in either game, I was really pleased with the point. I thought that was a really positive step forward for Scotland and for this next round of games.
Do you think we'll look back and think, especially that home game, because we had so many chances, do you think we'll look back and think those 3 points could have been huge?
Absolutely. Yeah, they would have possibly been the difference in what will happen in the next round. But, I'm sure I watched Nicola Docherty's post-match comments on Saturday night, and she said they're getting better with every training camp, and hopefully that will be the case. And if they do face somebody, that is maybe ranked higher than them or a challenge after their Israel games, they'll only get better. And we'll take 2 points there.
I saw a lot of people say Nicola was excellent in the game. It's fascinating you're talking about that more attacking side, Liam. When I've watched, especially under Pedro, the amount of times we didn't even play with a striker. I remember the Ireland game when we lost 1-0, could have been the World Cup qualifier. I was at Hampden just thinking, what is happening here? When you had a midfield, I think the midfield was Caroline Weir, Real Madrid, Erin Cuthbert, Chelsea, Sam Kerr, Bayern Munich, and we're getting beat by Ireland because one of their players could throw the ball 65 yards. It was so frustrating. What did you make, Megan, of that 500% comment? I found it wild that someone would come out and say that. What was your opinion?
I think, so my initial take on it was that it's not something you hear in football. Most managers will say, we're just looking ahead to the next game, or we're just looking ahead to obviously whatever's going on. Or I was quite surprised by it, but I think having watched a lot of Melissa Andreatta's press conferences and seen how she interacts with the team, she's just trying to fill them with confidence. And the fans, we have been so disappointed in past qualifiers. It's nice for us to be given a little bit of confidence from her. So I think it was bold, but I think she was making a statement that just to show how the team were feeling. And actually, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind her saying that.
Let me ask you, Liam, what was the last thing you were 500% certain of?
Oh, you don't want to know that. I can't think I've ever been that certain. I'd really like to hear that from a manager, though. Like, you see, when a manager comes out and properly backs a team and backs their ability, it's great to see. And I think, given how well Scotland's been playing, she was 100% right. Well, 500% right today. So,
check, maybe she's just been listening to the Proclaimers, and it was like the number was in her head, and she's ready to go. Megan, looking forward, we've got those two games as against Israel. You could see in the Luxembourg games, especially, the manager was changing a couple of things. So, like, maybe the wing backs would change. Emma Loughton played one and scored as well. Someone who her career is incredible. What is it? It goes Man City down to Thistle to Celtic to whoever she wants. Do you think she's got a settled side now?
Yeah, I think she's took some risks in bringing in a lot of younger players and players that have earned their first cap, but I think they've paid off, and I think that's something I think we really needed to be refreshed after the kind of Pedro era, and then obviously the interim period with Mick McArdle. I would like to think the way the team are playing together and the way they're moving the ball forward, and just they just seem so composed. I would like to think that the team won't change too much now, and that she's found kind of her starting 11 and a bit of depth on the bench, because again, I felt in previous teams we've not had that.
Yeah, it's I just hope, I really, really hope we do it so much. There was a lot made about the goalkeeping situation before. I don't know, right? I would say McIver, but a couple of people I've interviewed have said McKeever, so I don't know how you're pronouncing it. But Sandy McKeever / McIver, depending what. In previous games hadn't been playing a lot of game time, but still kept the number one spot. I saw after the game, Melissa Andreatta came out and said she was outstanding. She's definitely going to be number one now, isn't she?
I would think after particularly the away leg against Belgium, she's earned her place. The goalkeeper situation, we are rich in goalkeepers, you could argue. You know, we've got Eartha Cummings, who was Player of the Year in Sweden, or Goalkeeper of the Year, I believe. Lee Gibson, who's had an incredible defensive record at Glasgow City, and then Sandy, I'm going to say McIver.
That's what I would have gone. But Joelle Murray, who I think was our former teammate, said McKeever. So I went with McKeever, but I don't know if that's right. Let's just call her Sandy, right? Sandy.
Yeah, I think that's better.
They like they do it nursery. Just give first name and then an initial for the surname. Sandy. And then, do you have a club side, Megan? Who's your club side?
Celtic.
So what do you make of the league in Scotland? Who do you think's going to win it?
Oh, you couldn't say at this point. It's so tight at the top of the table. Hearts are top at the moment. Celtic are 5 points behind them, and it's very close in between. So I honestly couldn't say. If you'd asked me maybe 3 weeks ago, I would have said Glasgow City, and that wouldn't have changed. But after their last few games, it's all to play for. I think it'll come down to the final day. Yeah,
I don't know, Liam. Do you have this as well, where you're just over the moon it's not Celtic or Rangers?
I'm always delighted whenever I see it. It's not one of those two, man. So it's one of those ones, even with Hearts. I don't particularly like Hearts, but I would like them to win the league over Celtic or Rangers.
The prospect of Hearts doing the double in the men's and women's leagues is an incredible thing. As a Thistle fan, I've always got a wee affinity for Glasgow City, just because obviously the women's teams play at Petershill and stuff like that. I would like to see that. Give us we're asking for the club's unsung hero. Over these past 4 Scotland games, the 2 Luxembourg games, and then the 2 Belgium games, Megan, who's your unsung hero in this Scotland squad?
Probably somebody I don't think gets enough credit is Jenna Clark, who plays in defence. I think she's been brilliant defensively, and she's also given her height. She's given us such an attacking threat from corners and set pieces that probably hasn't been as recognised as it should have been. So I would say Jenna Clark. I think she's great. Yeah,
she was. Jenna Clark was there when I was interviewing Fran Alonso and Pedro Martinez Losa back-to-back and got them mixed up. That was a really good day. Really enjoyed that. So thanks for bringing that trauma up again. Megan, thank you very much for joining us, and this is Fans Only, and we'll chat to you again when those Israel games come around. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. She's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. It's good knowledge. What have you got coming in? We're looking for unsung heroes. We're looking for people's thoughts on teams. What are we getting, Liam Farrelly?
So we've got Charlie Banks, who is a Hib fan who wants on the show. So this is his trial with us. So
depends on how well you can read. That's an unfair thing.
I'm also dyslexic, so this has been a real Paralympic show for me. Warren O'Hara has been the unsung hero for him. He's an absolute warrior week in, week out. I can't say that he fits unsung hero because I really can't remember Warren O'Hara doing much either.
Yeah, he plays in the back. He's one of those, like, I think a lot of the unsung heroes, I don't know, James, how do you feel about this? We're going to get a lot of defensive players because it's always the wee prima donna attackers that get all the credit.
But it's like a transfer window. If your club signs somebody with a hairband that plays up front, immediately he's amazing, he's great, you just spot him. If you sign a solid right back.
Yeah, I think football died the day Charlie Mulgrew captained Scotland wearing a man bun. I think that was maybe for me. I think we were playing France away.
But, like, if you look at it, like Craig Halkett's in the team of the season. Now Halkett, and I actually thought Finlay was maybe going to make it as well. Like, they've had solid seasons. I think Hibs, but apparently Hibs' record currently is the same as what it was last year, where everyone thought Hibs had an amazing season. And I think the perception of Hibs has suffered because of how well Hearts have done.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't know that.
O'Hara probably has struggled because Finlay and Halkett's done so well
Yeah.
and are getting all the plaudits.
Yeah. Who was your St Mirren one?
I would go with Declan John, to be fair. I think he's one of these people. I think he's got the most goal involvements out of anybody in the team. And we had an issue at right back where we brought in Subawale, who was meant to be the starting right back, and then for whatever reason, him and Robinson never really worked it out and how to get him into the team. Then Jaden Richardson came in and it all kind of went downhill after they got sent off against Aberdeen. So right back has been kind of an issue for us. So then on the other side, you've just had such a consistent presence of Declan John constantly putting balls in. He's also kept Tanzer out the team, who's been like an ever present since he signed for us like 3 or 4 seasons
I
ago.
saw Tanzer get linked with other clubs recently, actually,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh yeah, that is it. Declan John, what game was it? Remind me, Liam, where he does it? Was it the cup final? Was it? He does a lung busting run, like 90 yards, sets someone up, and then all the players go to celebrate, and he just lies down like away from them.
Yeah, he got cramp after that. It was the final. That was the third goal we set
Was
up.
it?
Aye. He was brilliant that game. But he's constantly, I would say, every game basically, he's always like 8, 9 out of 10 for us. So
Right, you mentioned finals. Let's get our next guest on. So remember, if you want to get involved, like who was the Hibs fan there? What was their name?
It was Charlie Bank.
Like Charlie said there, wants to get involved, email us on the show at thisisfansonly@bbc.co.uk. Get in touch because we'll be doing this each week. So we'll be trying this. Our next guest is we're going to be talking about Scotland. The men's team already at the World Cup, America. How much is everything costing? You've got the flights, the hotels, the tickets, the bus, the parking, some of the figures thrown about are eye-watering. So you get fans complaining 35 quid for a friendly against Northern Ireland. Let's see what this World Cup will do to them. So joining us is Scotland fan Darius Nesbitt. Darius, I have to say, so everyone's screen comes up at the bottom before they join. Everyone else is just sat there. Are you doing a sponsored walk? You have been everywhere in the past 5 minutes.
No, I'm not doing a sponsored walk, no.
It's right, let's chat World Cup because you I met you in Greece and you were wearing a big wig before the Scotland-Greece game in Athens. And then I was like, oh, I met him, he was a nice boy. 2 days later, you're all over the news because you've booked 69 hotels. Or how many hotels did you book for the World Cup?
It was 25 in the end, and then I've only got 2, the ones I need for Boston and Miami, so I'm all sorted now.
So what, talk to us costing wise. So because all the stories recently are the train from Boston to Foxborough, because although we're playing in Boston, we're technically not anywhere near Boston. We're actually closer to Rhode Island. The average train ticket's usually $15, $20. It's going to be $80. Are you getting fleeced? How much are you spending? Talk to us.
So I'm in the Providence Tartan Army chat, so they're running so it's like the yellow American school buses. So there's like I think but there's like 22 coaches from Providence up to Foxborough for the 2 games in Boston. So yeah, that's the yellow buses. I think we were about £35 ahead, I think, for the buses, which is not bad in comparison to what the train fares and the other bus fares are for getting to the stadium.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Darius, that those school buses will not have a toilet on them. And 22 of them, 50 each after 12 Miller Lite or whatever people are tanking. That's the journey home is going to be a tough one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure. There'll be a lot of pit stops, put it that way, for folk that need the toilet.
Also, Liam, I don't know about you. I just think Otto from The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, get the wig back on.
Yeah.
Also, someone's getting bullied in that bus. Somebody's getting scanted, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, the politics of who sits up the back and at the front as well. Yeah. Darius, so you were always going to go. This actually makes sense that there's 22 school buses. I get asked recently, so my wife is pregnant and the baby's due on the Haiti game. So I can't go to at least the first couple of games, probably more. Depending when the baby comes. I get asked to host a thing in Providence recently, and I couldn't work out why, but because it seems like half of Scotland is staying there instead of Boston. So talk to us how much you spent so far on it.
So I've got my accommodation. So I've got accommodation in Providence. I got 11 nights for about £470, which is no bad going considering.
Who you staying with? How many is in a room?
It's only me. I've just booked I've ended up going for an Airbnb, some myself, but it's no bad. And then
that's very good.
And then I've got a hotel in Miami for 4 days as well. In fact, 3 days now, because my flight home that I've booked, I didn't realise how far Tampa is to Miami. I thought it looks quite close on the map. So I had a flight booked to Tampa, no realising it's 7 hours in a coach. So straight after the Brazil game, I've got to get my luggage and then get to the Tampa.
You've essentially booked a flight. It's after going to watch Scotland at Hampden from London. Like, you've got to go down there on the bus. That's so good. That's good. And then ticket-wise, I know you're a big Tartan Army guy. Like I said, I've seen you at games and stuff. You've got all the tickets sorted, I presume, for your points?
Yes, all sorted from the Scotland Supporters Club. So, yeah.
How much for your tickets? Games. Were you face value? What were you spending?
So I was category 3. So I think I got my tickets for all the group games for just under 500.
My brother got one face value for the opening game of Haiti, and his face value was $430 because he doesn't have points. He lives in America, so for him, but he was like reasoning it with it is he's in Michigan, so the flight from Boston isn't too far. I mean, I spent David Marshall once fell out with me. I spent 175 quid on a face value ticket for Scotland Czech Republic, the opening game of the 2020 Euros. And I told David Marshall that I paid £3.50 for every yard that Patrick chipped him from. And he was really annoyed about that. But yeah, Darius, we've mentioned this week and last week on the show with Mark Nelson. This week we got Liam Farrelly. We were talking about bolters who can maybe go at Mika Mandron was mentioned, Calvin Miller. I think we both know Steve Clark well enough to know that's not going to happen. Who would you like to see in the squad?
I think you could make a case for. Look, there's a lot of debate, especially with the March squad, that Barney Stewart could have been a good option. But I think it's maybe just too early for him yet. I think he's still a young player. He's got a lot to develop as well. But I think for the future, if he keeps going the way he's going, he could definitely be in the squad for future call-ups. I felt sorry for Halkett. I think he's been excellent at Hearts this season. I would have liked to have seen him in the squad for sure. But yeah, I could say Halkett could be a good option. I would like to see. I don't think Barney. I think Clark will, go with the players that have got him there. Do you know what I mean? So we'll stick with what we know.
Let me ask you both this. Would you take Ollie Burke? Liam, would you take Ollie Burke? He's, I don't know if you saw, he's the fastest player in the Bundesliga. I think he's the second fastest in Bundesliga history. We literally have one winger in Ben Gannon-Doak.
I wouldn't be surprised if he calls up Lewis Morgan, in all honesty, because he's done that before, and is one of these people where, like, he does sometimes just turn to him at major competitions just and be like, right, well, he's a winger, let's just get him in.
He lives there. We'll save a flight. We'll do that. Darius, would you take even a McBurney or an Ollie Burke?
I would take McBurney. I think he's done excellent this season. I think he's got over 20 goal involvements for Hull. So he's been. I would like to see McBurney in the squad, but I don't think he will be. I think after the games in March there, I think George Hurst, especially that Ivory Coast game, I think the second half he made it quite a strong case to get that that's a spot possibly in the plane to America. So I think after the March games, you could probably say Hurst is just edging it, but I would definitely like to see McBurney in the squad, but I don't think he'll call up McBurney.
No, I don't see it after his previous comments.
Yeah.
There. A couple more questions for you, Darius. One, spend the money. How much you planning on spending for your 15 days out there?
Probably about 3K, 3.5K, I'd say. I'll see how it goes.
What are you budgeting for? Beer and what? Beer, food, what else?
Beer, food. There's a Tartan Army baseball celebration after the Haiti game. So it's the 14th at Fenway Park. I've not bought my tickets yet. I don't know if I'm going yet or not. I've not decided on that yet. Just depending what the other guys are doing. But that'll be someday. That's so the day after the Haiti game. It's the Red Sox are playing, and there's like limited edition. I think it's Scotland like Red Sox T-shirts or something like that. So that'll be pretty good.
That sounds class. Final question. We've been asking everyone their unsung player of the season. In the past 18 months for Scotland, who do you think for the national team has been our unsung hero?
I like Kenny McLean. I think he gets a lot of criticism as well. And I think definitely over the last 18 months or so, I'd say McLean. I mean, look at that goal against Denmark, it was just unbelievable. So that would be my unsung hero, would be Kenny McLean.
I still can't believe he got brought on ahead of Lennon Miller at that Ivory Coast game, though. That after playing 90 the other day, I was in the stadium. I genuinely couldn't believe it. From spending a lot of time around the Scotland camp, I think the players would maybe say Jack Hendry or Liam Kelly. They seem to be, Liam Kelly in particular, proper big character. They all seem to really, really like him. Just a big daft goalie. And I think that's what you kind of need in life.
He's usually been like, I remember he always used to turn up in games against St Mirren. Like, he always just looked unbelievable against us. And then he'd go and play for Scotland and it wouldn't look as good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you just need to get him playing at Paisley, and then suddenly he brings something back to him.
I thought Scott Bain was much better than him against the Ivory Coast, which is a concerning sentence to say out loud, isn't it? Especially when Megan's just talked about how in the women's team Scotland are blessed with goalies. I was like, oh God, I don't know if you know this, but Darius is actually their 5th choice. Like, that's how bad it's got. That's why he can't commit to go to Fenway Park because he might get a call up. Darius, I'm sure we'll speak to you before you go out there, but good luck with your saving. Try to avoid any kind of Ponzi schemes for that money, because I feel like that's the way you're going to try fund this. Let's not do that. And keep booking as many hotels and B&Bs as you can. Darius, thank you for joining us, and this is Fans Only. Cheers. He's definitely spending more than $3,000, isn't he? Like 100%. He's buying shares in Fenway Park. We've got one more guest. I'll be honest, I'm not looking forward to speaking to him. I'll be honest.
I thought that's why you were getting the podcast to try and go over an hour. So just be able to cut.
Yes, and then we can cut there. Liam, any more messages coming in on the chat? Remember, if you are watching this, you can watch this later on. You can like, you can subscribe. But also, we'll be monitoring the email account. So this is fansonly@bbc.co.uk. Get in touch. We want to build up a kind of group of fans that we can speak to. So everyone who's on the show this week was not on the show last week. So we're trying to get as many different voices in. And we don't want pundits. We don't want ex-players. We want, or current players. We want just these fans' opinions to be a bit more kind of true to things. Have a go at the board. You're not funded by them. We can go with whatever. So please get in touch. Liam, what people say?
Keep Mikey Stewart off the airlines. That's what
Is that what it says?
We got an unsung hero from G-Man, who is a Motherwell fan. It's Lucas Fadinger. He's happy to play with the ball in midfield and let it off and allow Watt to be more creative. I'd agree with that. I think Fadinger's been a really good addition.
We've got a Motherwell fan. He's not on mic. Nod for an agreement of that. Yeah, definitely.
And then we have Mikey Kenmure, who is a Killie fan. He's gone for Michael Schoening Larson, who's came in January, Estonian international. I like you can classify him as a unsung hero. I think he's been getting a lot of plaudits. He scored a great goal as well. It was from distance, and you can't have an Estonian, an international footballer in your team and be like, he's an unsung hero, I think.
Depends, like, because we had Jakob Mikkelsen, who was the Faroe Island goalie, and he came to us. Stephen, who's in the studio, is a Thistle fan. I remember him. He was awful. But, I mean, that's the level we play at, isn't it? Right, let's get on to this. Tomorrow night, blah, blah, blah. St Johnstone look like they could win the league. They've got 2 trips over to the East Coast this week. So they play Dunfermline, which is live on the BBC Scotland channel tomorrow night. And on Friday, they play Wraith Rovers, which is live on the BBC Scotland channel. So you can watch either of those. I'll be honest, I will not be watching either. If they win either of those games, because Partick Thistle drop points against Airdrie on Saturday, they can win the league. So we're welcome to Fans Only. We've got St Johnstone fan and co-host of the Dogger Saints podcast, Danny Williams. Danny, first things first, I presume you think you're going to win the league?
Yes, I do. Can I just say, right, there was no need to keep Darius on for as long as you did. That man's on television more than Romesh Ranganathan. Honestly, he's never off. I should say I've done a few podcasts with Darius, so I'm all right to.
Who's his team? Who does he support?
Celtic.
Oh, does it? All right. So I'm glad I didn't go into that there. That's good. Also, Danny, huge fan of you joining and taking a pop at someone else. All for that. Big fan of that. What were you doing Saturday? Were you keeping an eye on the Thistle score? Because it's kind of, I spoke last week and off the ball, I was doing it the weekend with Stuart Cosgrove, obviously Saints fan, winding him up about St Johnstone's budget, which is always quite fun because he bites every single time. Whereas it's kind of been a foregone conclusion in the past few weeks. I think ever since that, there was a pivotal moment. We played Ayr, and were you playing? Was it Arbroath? You won 4-2, and Lee Ashcroft gets sent off, and you went 2-1 ahead in the same minute. And that for me was the day it all died. Ever since, I mean, would you say your best performance this season was that opening game when you beat us 5-1?
Oh, without doubt. We peaked at that point, and it's just gone downhill since. But thankfully, it's not gone downhill enough. No, I think I'd agree with you actually, Ray. I think that day up at Arbroath, the single most miserable weather I've ever experienced at a football match. But yeah, I think that was the day. I think that was when, and me being ever the sort of miserable Perth dweller, I think I was sort of up until that point just convinced. You know, it was like in The Simpsons. You know when Grandpa Simpson goes, "You got a bullet," when Homer's doing the gymnastics. Yeah. So I think it was. I kept sort of just going to games and shouting that out randomly. But yeah, I think that was the that was the day when I thought, right, we should have this now. Obviously, got a few bites of the cherry over the next week. Selfishly, I don't know whether I'm going to make it tomorrow night, so I'm sort of hoping that we draw and we win it on Friday. But, I was sort of when Airdrie equalised on Saturday, I think I was the only Saints fan in the world who was like, "That's hopefully I can get out of work early enough tomorrow and make it down." But yeah, it's been the opening day was obviously really good, and then sort of I think we started the season so well. I think it was 9 wins out of 10, and the other one was a draw at Hope and Morton. And then once we'd played everyone, sort of chaplains, everyone gets a bit of an idea of you know what you're about and how to play against you. And yeah, it's been obviously been a great season, but I think having that spell early on in the season really sort of paid off now.
Is it, Danny? Liam? Would you back me up on this? That Danny still sounds sad that they're going to win the league. It's very odd. Like, how pessimistic are you about life?
It'll be very. I can't deny it. But no, we'll be fine. It'll be once it's there, once it's done, and in the hands, it'll be. I'll believe it then. But
there's a really good article on the BBC Scotland, BBC Sports Scotland website about St Johnstone and Thistle and who could win the league, and it's a really, really good point about how St Johnstone have backed Simo Valakari. He came in after Levine left, which would be I'd guess October, November of 18 months ago, and he obviously didn't keep St Johnstone up, and then they've backed him this season. He's going to do the job. By all accounts, he's a very popular man in Perth and in the local pubs. People always seem to be talking about how they've met him in a pub.
He's never out of the pub. I should say I know Simo sort of reasonably well. He's a lovely, lovely lad. But yeah, he's never out of the King James like.
That's what everyone says, and I think that makes him more popular. Like I feel like that would resonate. Like for us, I mean, I only see Mark Wilson in a gym, and that's not relatable to us, like, is it? What do you make of his comment? So I saw the Perth Courier have kind of twisted a Mark Wilson interview about how St Johnstone had the bigger budget and how they have not won the league yet, despite looks like they're going to. If you read the article, he doesn't say that outright. The headline is a bit more misleading. I actually think Wilson and Valakari have been pretty respectful towards each other throughout the season. I would like them for one of them to have a go at each other, but it doesn't really happen. It's more the fans. As this St Johnstone team as a whole, in that article I read today that McPake's 17 of his 19 goals came before February. Has the team kind of petered out towards the end of the season? Is it coming at the right time, or is it just a case of games have got a bit harder as people maybe found out the way St Johnstone are playing?
I think it's probably a little bit of a mix of all them things, right? I have to say we did have a really sort of tough spell around the turn of the year.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It would have been, just dragging you in. Just dragging you in.
It worked.
But, it's worked, yeah. You can't deny it. It's kept it interesting. But, I mean, once again, St Johnstone just doing things for the benefit of Scottish football. But it's, I think we had such a blazing sort of start. We had such a blazing start. And then I think the other thing that's happened is the players have looked a little bit leggy at times. It's been pretty much the same lads week in, week out. Like Sam Stanton, who's been excellent, he's come into the side a bit more recently. Fullbacks have changed about a bit, but in general, sort of Holt, McAleer, McPake, Gullen have all played every week, and Sidibe until he ditched us to go and score at Wembley and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pot full. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's a better league than people give it credit for. I think the teams are there's a lot of streetwise teams in there. A lot of teams that play good football as well. I think Dunfermline, when they've come to McDermott, have played some really good stuff. And I even think like Edgy, I know they're having a tough season, but when they actually get the ball down, they've been excellent. So excellent to watch. They're not particularly good at getting results and doing the other side of things, but they play some good football. So it's a lot tougher league than people think, as Ross County have found out, to a hilarious degree. So it's
we had Danny. I don't know if you managed to catch last week. We had Ramsey, a Ross County fan, on, and he's like 21. And he was like, I just hate football. Like, I felt so bad for him, man. And I was like, because I know you've been there. I've been there. Liam is a St Mirren fan. We've all been there. Like James, Hearts fan. You've been up and down the leagues. Like, we've all been there. And it is funny it's happening to them after Roy McGregor told Hearts, Partick Thistle and Stranraer to take their medicine during the COVID season when they got relegated. I'm going to try and mention that every single week. That's the plan. But yeah, in terms of if it looks like, obviously we'll speak to you again when the season's kind of done about if you do win the league, how much a transition do you think this squad needs?
A fair bit. I think, as I say, there's quite a lot of lads there, like Reagan Summerty, Jonathan Smedberg, that they just don't look like they're in the picture at all. There's a few loan signings in there that'll leave. Obviously, Toby Stewart, one of them, which is going to be a hammer blow. Yeah. When he goes,
never fall in love with a lone player.
Never fall.
How many times do you need to learn this?
I know, and I thought I had it in check, and then. If he'd just gone in January, if Portsmouth had just called him back in January, it might have been fine. But no, it's too late now. So yeah, he's obviously going to lose him. So it's going to be a bit of a transition. I think a lot of the guys that have been really important players this season might have to sort of come in and out of the side a bit more next year. We are probably going to have to add some maybe more proven Premiership quality. But I'd like to see most of the lads that have done so well for us this season get a chance in the top five. I think it's Falkirk pretty well this year. They've kept the same guys.
It's always a worry though when you keep the same guys and then you get to January and you're not doing that well and you need to just turn them over.
And then we'll sign Naby and Chifty again.
Yeah. How confident do you feel with Falkirk being back in the Premiership, given what you've seen when he was there kind of last season?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to see him. Obviously, I'd like to see him get a good go at it next season. I think, as with any manager, there does have to become a point where you say, right, this is either going well or it's not going well. I think that's the squad he had last season to work with was a bit
funny.
Oh, very funny, very funny. Yeah. I can understand that, and some good players. But when you're going in with a centre forward at left back in the Scottish Cup semi-final. I mean, that was probably the sign of where things had gone. So, it's one of those things. But I think he'll have a better squad to work with next season. I think he's had a better squad this season than he did last time round. A lot of guys who were on sort of longer contracts gone. So he's more than earned the chance, and he's got a contract up to 2029 now.
Oh, is it that long? Jeez.
He got an extension. He got an extension in January. So, which, I think also, I mean, this guy, like you touched on it before, Ray. If he ever tried to leave, I'm pretty sure sort of people just barricade Broxton roundabout. like genuinely, it's like honestly, the man's the man's got some sort of. He's got the old magic touch over the city. I have to admit that. So
as the kids would say, he's got aura. Like that's the kind of vibe he's got. Yeah, he's got aura. Danny, we're going to wrap this up. I hope for your sake that you draw tomorrow, so you don't win the league, so you can get to the game on Friday. Thank you for joining us, and this is Fans Only. We'll chat to you later on. And mate, can I give you one piece of advice? Cheer up! You're going to win the league. Be happy. Thanks for joining us, Danny. Well, that's all we got time for. Liam, thank you very much for joining us today. Did you enjoy yourself, your wee day out?
I've had a nice time.
Did you find it stressful reading the messages?
No, I've been looking at the river when I get panicky, and it calms me down.
Makes it sound like this has been a hostage situation. That's good. Remember to like and subscribe if you made it this far, and comment below if you'd like to join us on a future episode. Remember to send us an email at thisisfansonly@bbc.co.uk. We're going to be here every Monday, 6 till 7, a wee bit longer depending on how many people chat. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've just been making the dinner and hearing it in the background, and we'll see you next Monday. Thanks from me. Thanks from Liam.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.